Honorable Prime Minister, time permitting. PQB 268 and B70 have been withdrawn. Now I call third member for Flack and Bon Accueil. Mr. Ramkalawan.
Mr. Speaker, B267.
Madam Speaker, as the House is aware, since 1982, the Pay Research Bureau has conducted the general review exercise on pay and grading structures every 5 years, except for 2016, where the report was published after a period of 3 years. The 2016 PRB report, however, re-established the periodicity of the general review exercise to 5 years, as it was before, and consequently the last one was in 2021. The next report will therefore take effect on the 1st of January 2026. I'm informed, Madam Speaker, that the preparation for the next report started in March 2023, according to a preset work plan, and relevant information were gathered. These are impacting on the Bureau's calendar of activities, because I found out that there was some delay, because they talk to the different ministries, departments, local authorities, and also the Rodrigues Regional Assembly. There are 126 parastatal bodies that fall under the purview of the PRB. The Bureau has to gather the maximum information to facilitate the interaction and exchange of views with all the stakeholders. So far, the Bureau has had 578 meetings with staff associations and management of both parastatal bodies and civil service. 1,315 interviews have been conducted in relation to job description, and 12 site visits have been effected to examine the alleged problem areas highlighted by the stakeholders. As a matter of fact, the officers of the Bureau are presently in Rodrigues, holding consultation with unions and management of the Rodrigues Regional Assembly. I have been informed, Madam Speaker, that the Bureau is facing several constraints, including delay from stakeholders to submit the relevant information. These are impacting on the Bureau's planned calendar of activities. The publication date of the report is now scheduled for December 2025.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister. Yes, the Honorable third member for Rivière-des-Anguilles and Souillac. Yes, Ms. Daureiro.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. B269.
269. I'm informed, Madam Speaker, by the Acting Commissioner of Prisons that detainees are admitted to prisons either on remand or as convict following an order from the court. With regard to Part A of the question, the prison service is meant to ensure that hygienic conditions are maintained in all institutions. The measures taken including the provision of personal toiletries, clothing and bedding, as well as adequate toilet and bathroom facilities. A laundry system for washing clothing and bedding is also put at the disposal. Cleaning of cells and dormitories are performed by detainees under the supervision of prison officers. Furthermore, the prison service undertakes routine maintenance and upgrading works. Regular pest control interventions are also conducted by trained prison officers. Additionally, fogging exercises are carried out by the personnel of the Ministry of Health and Wellness upon request. Inspections by the National Preventive Mechanism Division of the National Human Rights Commission help to ensure the compliance with living standards. Moreover, workplace hygiene is regulated in accordance with the Occupational Safety and Health Act. The prison service actively monitors cleanliness through designated prison officers in each prison and also by visits by the Safety and Health Officer twice a week. In regard to Part B of the question, the prison service operates 3 fully functional inpatient wards that are open round the clock. They are located at the Melrose Prison, the Central Prison, and the Women's Prison at Beaubassin. Other institutions, namely Grand River Northwest Remand Prison, Petit Verger Prison, Richelieu Open Prison, and Phoenix Prison, have each a dispensary where medical treatment and primary care are dispensed during office hours from Monday to Saturday. During weekends, public holidays, and at night, prison health service officers from the Central Prison, Beaubassin, Beaubassin attend these institutions in case of emergency. Detainees requiring medical care are attended to at the 3 inpatient wards and 4 dispensaries. Detainees requiring further investigations or special care and treatment are then referred to and admitted to Jawaharlal Nehru Hospital, where 2 wards have been converted for male and female detainees. These 2 wards offer 24-hour inpatient service and are manned by nursing and medical staff of the hospital. An ambulance equipped with basic life support devices is on standby mode at Beaubassin Prison for the transportation of persons who are not well from prisons to public hospital. In addition, the services of the SAMU is solicited to attend life-threatening emergencies for conveyance of the detainees to the nearest public hospital. As regards to Part C of the question, Madam Speaker, I am informed by the Acting Commissioner of Prisons that the prisons institutions are not overcrowded as they are currently occupied at 75.32% of the optimum capacity.
Yes. Third member for Beaubassin, Petite Rivière, Mr. Kira.
B271, please.
Madam Speaker, in regard to Part A of the question, I am informed that the annual budget allocation of the Mauritius Broadcasting Corporation for the broadcasting of local and international sports events varies between 25 to 30 million rupees. As regards to Part B of the question, I am informed by the MBC that the FA English Premier League, the corporation currently broadcasts 33 live matches per season. That is 1 live match every Saturday under its free-to-air rights package and 3 FA English Premier League magazine programs each week. I'm also informed that the MBC has already secured the rights for the next 3 FA English Premier League seasons up to the year 2028, and this free-to-air rights package includes 4 FA Cup matches annually. Concerning the UEFA matches, I'm informed that the MBC has already secured a partnership with New World TV for the broadcasting rights of 1 UEFA Championship League match and 1 Europa League or Conference League match per match day, including quarterfinals, semi-finals, and finals. I'm also informed that after several years, the MBC is now broadcasting the Spanish Football League competition known as La Liga with 1 match per weekend. Madam Speaker, regarding Part C of the question, I'm informed that for local events, the MBC works in close collaboration with event organizations and sports federations for live broadcasting of the same. The MBC also intends to produce and broadcast future Club M matches played in Mauritius. Moreover, the upcoming horse racing season will be produced and broadcast live on the MBC. In addition, major sports tournaments such as the Mauritius Sevens Rugby Tournament are currently in the planning phase and will be featured as part of the corporate's expanded sports program. Efforts are also being made by the corporation to enhance the MBC 11 channel with a view to promoting youth engagement and the development of regional and gender-inclusive sports coverage. Madam Speaker, in regard to international events, I'm informed that the following negotiations have been undertaken by the MBC. An agreement has been concluded for the live broadcast of the FIFA World Cup 2026. The MBC exploring avenues to secure rights for other major events such as the FIFA Club World Cup, Africa Cup of Nations, World Athletics, and the Para-Athletics World Championships. And the negotiations are ongoing for the broadcast of cycling events and other international competitions based on rights availability. Madam Speaker, it is apposite for me to underscore the fact that while free-to-air broadcasting rights are subject to limitations imposed by international organizations and their appointed regional distributors, the MBC remains committed to securing a diverse and representative sports offering for the population.
Thank you, Prime Minister.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. L'honorable Premier ministre peut-il dire à la Chambre, et en particulier aussi aux amateurs de football anglais, suite à l'annonce que lui-même avait faite durant la dernière campagne électorale, à l'effet que tous les matchs de la Premier League seraient retransmis en direct à la télévision. Je conviens, tous les matchs, ça va coûter énormément, mais envisage-t-il, ne serait-ce pour ceux qui n'ont pas les moyens de s'abonner aux chaînes payantes, est-ce que la MBC à travers le Premier ministre, de retransmettre ne serait-ce les matchs forts de chaque week-end afin de permettre aux amateurs de football anglais de visionner leurs équipes préférées.
In fact, I thank the honourable member for saying that given the financial situation of the country, but actually the embassy is looking to do exactly that, if possible.
Yes, of course, of course. Yes, the Honourable First Member for Savane.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
B272.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed that the Industrial Finance Corporation of Mauritius was incorporated in August 2021, but was officially launched and became operational in February 2022. With regard to Part A of the question, I'm tabling a copy of the roles and functions of the IFMCM. Madam Speaker, with regard to Part B of the question, I'm informed that a total amount of 1,699,899,000 rupees have been invested in the IFCM as follows. 1 million by the government of Mauritius at the time of its incorporation, and the balance of 1,698,899 through the National Resilience Fund. Madam Speaker, I am also informed that a special line of credit to the tune of 5 billion rupees have been made available by the Bank of Mauritius to the IFCM to operate its various schemes. Regarding Part C of the question, I am informed that a total amount of 4.29 billion has been dispersed to some 298 enterprises since the operation of the IFCM to date. Regard to Part D of the question, I am tabling a copy of the lists of the beneficiaries and the amounts of funds allocated thereto. Madam Speaker, even a cursory look at the list would suggest the gross abuse of public funds where huge amounts were dispersed to the cronies of the previous regime. Let me just give a few blatant examples. 41 million rupees to Curious Construction Solutions Limited. 41 million. 64 million to RGT Limited belonging to Avinash Gopi. And 9.6 million to Artemis Hospital. A thorough audit will be undertaken to find out how these funds have been dispersed, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Will the Honourable Minister consider to do some investigation? Will the Honourable Prime Minister consider doing some investigations in regards to those allocations?
I think you just said that.
I just said that, Madam
Yes.
Speaker.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ramdas. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. PQ B273, please.
Madam Speaker, it is the Bank of Mauritius which has the primary duty to maintain price stability while promoting orderly and balanced economic development. It does through monetary policy and the management of the exchange rate. Prior to November 2024, there was a total disarray and inconsistency in the conduct of monetary policy by the Bank of Mauritius, which led to the continuous increase in the inflation rate, massive depreciation of the rupee, and consequently the continuous increases in the price of consumer goods. First, the increase in the key rate by cumulative 265 basic points during 2022 was not enough to assume to correct for the inflation expectations and prevent the depreciation of the rupee. Second, the Bank of Mauritius' decision in September 2024 to lower the key rate by 50 basis points was done for political purposes just prior to the general elections, and this further stroked inflationary pressures in the economy. Third, the excessive money printing by the Bank of Mauritius to finance the budget deficit and the MIC aggravated the excess liquidity situation in the banking system and again caused prices to surge. Madam Speaker, the new management of the Bank of Mauritius, which took office in November 2024, acted promptly to remedy the situation. Measures taken by the Bank of Mauritius include, first, raising the key rate by 50 basis points to 4.5% per annum in February of 2025. Second, increasing the supply of forex in the domestic foreign exchange market to prevent rapid depreciation of the rupee, as was the case before. Third, instructions to commercial banks to ensure that all dealings in foreign exchange, including swaps and other derivatives, are effected through financial institutions duly licensed by the bank. Fourth, stricter regulation of intercompany transactions in foreign currencies. And lastly, instructions to banks to ensure that forward transactions are priced in a fair manner and in accordance with market fundamentals. Madam Speaker, government completed these measures by imposing that at least 85% of the proceeds from sales of villas under the property development scheme should be converted into rupees. Furthermore, the government reduced the prices of gasoline and diesel by 5 rupees per litre in December of last year. And the government mitigated the impact of inflation and price rises by awarding a 14th-month bonus covering more than 90% of workers and the 2025 salary compensation. It should be highlighted that since mid-November 2024, the rupee has actually appreciated by around 4.5% compared to the dollar, and the inflation rate has since been maintained on a downward trajectory. In fact, the inflation rate, which was at a peak of 11.3% in February 2023, is now at 2.5% as in March 2025. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Finance will continue to coordinate with the Bank of Mauritius to ensure coherence in our approach to curb inflationary pressures in the economy. In this context, we are working on fiscal measures that will be announced in the forthcoming budget.
Thank you. Yes. Ms. Honourable Second Member for Rivière des Anguilles. I'm sorry. Didn't catch my eye in time.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, further to the statement made by the Honourable Prime Minister some time back in Parliament on the state of the economy, it is now of public knowledge that the previous government has been tampering with the calculation of economic indicators, including the rate of inflation, and that to hide the real economic situation in Mauritius. Will the Honourable Prime Minister be in a position to enlighten the House as to the true inflation figures, rate of inflation, the true annual rate of inflation from the years 2019 to 2024?
Yes, I could. It's a long, but maybe I should. You want headline inflation rates? I'll take it. Yeah. Well, if I go by month, actually now it is 2.5%. But as I said, at one point it reached 11.3%. But I can table the whole table if you want.
Yes.
One more question. Madam Speaker, the Honourable Prime Minister of India has, in the course of his recent visit in Mauritius, announced that Mauritius and India will trade in Mauritian rupees. Will the Honourable Prime Minister consider the advisability of seeking similar arrangements with other trade partners, precisely with a view to eliminate the risks and consequences of the depreciation of the rupee in Mauritius, and of course to the benefit of the price level of our imports in Mauritius?
Unfortunately, I know of no other country that is prepared to do what India has done for us, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. That's it. You're done. Mr. Jaman, please.
Question B274, please.
Madam Speaker, with regard to part A1 of the question, I'm tabling the information for the period 2015 to 2024 relating to the evolution of the rate of betting tax on horse racing. Concerning part A2 of the question, I'm informed by the Mauritius Revenue Authority that the total amount of revenue generated for the period 2015 to 2024 was 4.5 billion rupees as betting tax on horse racing. Regarding part B of the question, a proposal to consider the shifting of the tax burden from players to operators will be again examined in the context of the forthcoming budget.
Yes. That's it. Okay. Mr. Rukni, third member for Pamplemousses.
Madam Speaker, B275.
Madam Speaker, the Police Department, in particular ADSU, and the Mauritius Revenue Authority are the two main agencies responsible for the fight against drugs, in particular the prevention and illegal entry of drugs into the Republic of Mauritius. I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that both the Police Department and the Mauritius Revenue Authority officers work in close collaboration for the detection of illicit drugs at the ports and the airport. They make use of an array of surveillance and detection tools for that purpose. I'm sure the Honourable Member would appreciate that for obvious reasons I cannot give details of the equipment in use nor the protocols that have been put in place. I'm also informed, Madam Speaker, that as the modus operandi of the drug traffickers keeps evolving, they make use of the latest sophisticated equipment. It is imperative that our surveillance system be continuously enhanced to keep pace with the latest trend. Consequently, there is need to provide our law enforcement agency with the state-of-the-art equipment and to ensure that they have a replacement policy for obsolete equipment. Moreover, these agencies should ensure that provisions are made to enter into maintenance contracts so that all new and existing equipment are fully operational at all times for cost effectiveness and efficiency purposes. This was not the case before. In addition, government will invest in tailor-made capacity building programs for the upskilling of the personnel with regard to the detection of drugs, including synthetic and novel drugs. I wish to reiterate, Madam Speaker, that the fight against drugs is one of the topmost priorities of this government. We are already translating our pledges into actions, which are now showing results. To this effect, from November 2024 to March 2025, drugs of a street value of around 1.2 billion rupees have been seized. In the same vein, in line with the government program 2025-2029, we will today itself introduce the National Agency for Drug Control Bill into the National Assembly to provide for the establishment of a national agency for drug control, which will be at the apex for addressing the drug issue, including prevention and drug controls.
Thank you. Yes.
Madam Speaker, it is a fact that we have noticed an increase in the drug abuse in our country. I would like to know from the Prime Minister if our intelligence gathering agencies have at least detected an increase in import of drugs through our main ports. Thank you.
Yes, that is the case. That is why we had this large uphold, heavy. I think I mentioned this, the figure, 1.2 billion rupees.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, the Honourable Second Member for my board.
B276.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Chief Executive Officer of Airports of Mauritius Company Limited that the airport master plan of 2004 made provision for the construction of a parallel taxi on the length of 3,450 meters, which was also to be used as the runway in emergency situations. 6 years later, that is on 12th of April 2010, AML decided to construct the taxiway of length of 2,450 meters only. The additional length of 1,000 meters would require the acquisition of private lands and properties along the ex-airport road at Shah Gaon and Solitude villages. This taxiway was commissioned in July 2013 and is operational since that date. With regard to the Shah Gaon village, for the period 2007 to 2014, 42 properties were acquired for an amount of 104,309,109 rupees, including, this excludes, notary, registration fees and land transfer tax. In addition, another 63 properties had to be acquired. Accordingly, after a bidding exercise, the services of a chartered property valuer and land surveyor were retained in 2019 to carry out evaluation exercise of these properties. To date, AML has acquired 14 of the 63 properties for a total amount of 60 million rupees, excluding all relevant fees, as I said. Regarding the village of Solitude, a survey of residential properties were carried out by professional land surveyor in November 2011. They wanted to acquire 32 properties to create an operational safety buffer zone around the airport. As of December 2024, 20 plots of land and properties have been acquired for a total sum of 47,653,114 rupees. 12 plots of land properties have not yet been acquired, as some of these owners did not have title deeds or they were not in order, or while others wanted an alternative plot of land and they were also not agreeable with the proposed amount.
Yes.
Can the Honourable Prime Minister consider this matter as soon as possible, because the inhabitants from this region is living with a daily stress because they can't invest or renovate their existing house.
The exercise is ongoing. That is, another valuation report of the plots of land of both villages go back to 2011. And AML is now planning to appoint a new chartered property valuer and land surveyor to review and update the existing reports of the 49 properties at Chagaon and the remaining 12 at Solitude Village. Negotiation will start thereafter.
Yes, the Honourable Third Member for Rivière-des-Anguilles, Souillac.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B277.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Mauritius Revenue Authority that the total amount of responsible gambling, this is the term in the law, so I'm using the same term, the levy collected in 2020 was 66.1 million, out of which 1.8 million was from totalizer operators. I'm also informed by the Gambling Regulatory Authority that a total amount of 9.6 million rupees was spent in 2020 as follows: 4.5 million on lab tests, 3.2 million on consultancy and capacity building, and 1.9 million on operating expenses.
Yes.
And Dr. the Honorable Prime Minister confirm how the funds are being spent from November 2024. As I understand that the levy was initially imposed to educate the operators, the gamblers.
And you want to know how the levy is being used?
From 2024 onwards.
We are looking at all this in the budget. I will come up with an answer in the budget.
Okay. Yes, Honourable Fourth Member for Port Reach North and Montaigneau.
B278.
Madam Speaker, it is an understatement to speak of waste and poor management. The report of the Director of Audit for the financial year 2023-2024 was tabled on the 25th of March of this year. As in previous years, the report exposed a litany of scandals highlighting how public funds have been dilapidated by the previous government. The publication of the report of the Director of Audit cannot continue to be an annual ritual where we take stock of misuse of public funds without any concrete actions being taken to put an end to such a scandalous situation. Madam Speaker, it will not be business as usual. Stringent actions will be taken to ensure judicious use of public funds where the principle of value for money will be strictly adhered to. In fact, after tabling the report of the Director of Audit, I requested my colleagues to analyze all issues raised by the Director of Audit concerning their ministries, their departments, with a view to properly addressing them. Furthermore, we are already taking major steps to ensure judicious use of taxpayers' money. First, we are reintroducing the performance-based budgeting based, as I said last time, on outcomes, not on the amount of money spent. Second, we already announced and taken a commitment to introduce a Fiscal Responsibility Act. Madam Speaker, as stated in the government program to foster greater transparency and accountability, we propose to make it mandatory for the Public Account Committee to look into the annual audit reports with the accounting officer in attendance. We will also ensure that the report of the Director of Audit is debated in the National Assembly and is submitted to the relevant institution for investigation where appropriate. I will come up with additional measures in the budget, Madam Speaker.
Yes, you're directly concerned.
Yes. Madam
The
Speaker.
Public Accounts Committee.
Madam Speaker, may I ask the Prime Minister, there is an alarming issue which is recurrent in the reports of the Director of Audit, that is the non-filing of financial statements by statutory bodies and other entities of the state. May I ask the Prime Minister, what does she propose to do? I would say as a matter of urgency, to ensure that government bodies are compelled to provide their financial statements to the Director of Audit within the time frame that the law provides.
This is precisely the point. The law provides a time frame, but they just ignore the time frame and no action was taken. We will ensure that this is remedied.
Yes, time is up. I have B282. The following PQs have been withdrawn. B282, B285, and 283. Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister. Now we proceed with ministers' questions to ministers.